I know how much new people have arrived to this channel over their love of Jujutsu Kaisen and that you guys just want to be drowning in Jujutsu Kaisen content, so I am here to deliver. My previous theory concerning Sukuna and Yuji being connected caught quite a bit of attention, but for me personally this theory we're about to dissect is something I find far more interesting. Well, in this video I'll be going through the odd obsession which Sukuna has for Megumi Fushiguro, and ever since I stumbled upon Jujutsu Kaisen, only one thing's been on my mind, and that is what exactly is Fushiguro hiding in his locker to even get the King of Curses attention. As for Megumi Fushiguro, we think he's just a cliche shonen emo, but it's actually the opposite, and for me probably one of the most entertaining characters in the series. But what does Sukuna plan on doing with him? Before we get into this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new and hit the notification bell to stay updated on my latest uploads. Also follow me on Twitter for any new updates concerning the channel. This video will contain spoilers from the manga. Now this theory is from a separate article which I'd come across and most certainly deserves much more light shed on it. I know this is the best place to discuss theories, especially when it comes to Jujutsu Kaisen. I'll be sure to dissect this theory and then give my own input on the entire situation between the connection of Sukuna and Fushiguro. So without further ado, let's get straight in. Megumi's participation in the Jujutsu Kaisen series has been just as effective as Yuji's in my opinion, carrying that aura of mystery and us wondering about his past, as well as his father who we know as Toji Zenin. But with this theory and the constant references in the manga, why in the world is Sukuna so obsessed with Megumi? This theory was written by Jalil Sharif and deserves a lot more attention, so the link to this article will be in the description below. Be sure to check it out if you'd like to view the manga panels to a better extent. Anyways, let's get started. Throughout the course of Jujutsu Kaisen's story, there has been a recurring theme of relationships or character connections being teased at in multiple intriguing and misleading ways, whether it be the connection between Choso and Noritoshi Kamo, Mai and Maki Zenin, or even Todo and Yuta from the prequel series. Gege Akutami seems to have a passion for giving subtle possible character arcs that would revolve around the relationship with another important character of the cast. Some of these hints come into fruition, like Choso and Yuji finally meeting and having their bathroom brawl within the Shibuya incident arc. What this mainly highlights is Akutami's writing style and ability to keep the story fresh, and even pulls unexpected stunts like reviving an antagonist to have a final confrontation with their son, who without coincidence is one of the main focuses of this piece. Megumi Fushiguro, the deuteragonist of this story, is of course a focal point used to progress the plot in many ways, and sometimes feels like more of an important piece than Yuji himself. That makes the theory I'm going to discuss even more interesting, especially when you look into Megumi and Yuji's relationship with each other. The connection between Megumi and Sukuna is a relationship or plotline that Akutami has teased since chapter 8 of Jujutsu Kaisen. What makes this so interesting is knowing that Sukuna is already a part of Yuji via sharing a body, so only one could wonder what Sukuna is thinking. And we have enough information to form a solid hypothesis Sukuna wants to use Megumi or his ability for his ulterior motives. First and foremost, when discussing Sukuna and Megumi, it is important to talk about the conditions in which the two have interacted. Sukuna and Megumi have had only one occurrence with one-on-one interaction, and that was during the Curse Womb arc. This interaction, covered in chapters 8 and 9, brought a new light not only on Sukuna's character, but on Megumi's as well, giving a glimpse into his mind when he decided to save Yuji, and also who he is as a person. While for Sukuna we see him express interest in Megumi and his ability. Statements such as "why did you run" and "wasted treasure" were triggers for Megumi and the audience, but for different reasons. Sukuna's words show that he has an interest in Megumi and his ability, while giving the audience a more in-depth idea of Sukuna's sadistic personality, but also giving Megumi room to progress. In this moment, Megumi prepares to use what Gojo calls his trump card, an attack that is unconfirmed in nature, but seemingly is end-all be-all for Megumi. Before he can launch the attack, Yuji takes back control of his body, which ends the confrontation with Sukuna. In this small bit of dialogue between the two, we can see that Sukuna clearly has some type of motive going on by looking into Megumi's potential. But there isn't much to go off of except one piece of monologue that didn't surface as evidence until later in the story. Sukuna thinks to himself he can't summon without a talisman, much more practical. This line seems trivial when first displayed, but as the story progresses and we learn about Sukuna and his fingers, we find out that certain curses have begun to resonate and awaken ever since Yuji ate one. This began to open a whole new avenue as Sukuna states to Yuji, "The spirits I cut and scattered have awoken up," literally letting the audience know that Sukuna has the ability to control other spirits. These cut and scattered spirits may have been originally under Sukuna's control through some form of charm, hence his thoughts about Megumi's shadow technique. The question still remains of why, and naturally it can be assumed Sukuna wants to use a similar technique to get back control of a possible army or subordinates. Within chapter 115, we see Sukuna copy the baseline ability of Jogo's using flames in a similar fashion. With this development, it becomes even more likely Sukuna wanted to understand Megumi's ability to be able to use a rendition of it himself, but I think there is more to his interest than that. The next big piece to their uncanny connection is Sukuna's statement to Yuji after the Megumi confrontation, which gave us a peek into why Sukuna wants to stay in Yuji's body for now. Covered in chapter 11, Sukuna proposes a binding vow to Yuji in exchange for saving his life when Sukuna says in chain he will have control over Yuji's body for 1 minute. Yuji declines, stating he doesn't trust Sukuna, but unexpectedly Sukuna sweetens the deal by saying he promises not to kill anyone or hurt anyone whilst in control. Yuji sarcastically inquires why he would agree to help, and Sukuna thinks about Megumi and says the game has changed, soon we'll see something interesting. This is only 2 chapters after Sukuna and Megumi's interaction, further showing that Megumi is special but in a way that only Sukuna seems to understand. The same type of hint is displayed when Yuji forces his way into Mahito's domain expansion, causing Sukuna's personal domain to be compromised. Sukuna's retaliation towards Mahito is explained with the narration. For Ryoma and Sukuna, whether Nanami or Mahito survives doesn't matter at all. Only one person holds his interest aside from him, he truly doesn't care about anyone else, whilst showing a portrait of Megumi. These moments are so important to understand because it lets us know that killing Megumi isn't Sukuna's goal. This is also confirmed in chapter 112, where 2 vital things are said by Sukuna in response to Jogo's request for him to leverage permanent control of Yuji's body. The first being not necessary, I have my own plans, and challenges Jogo for his desperation, agreeing to kill every human in Shibuya, but only if Jogo can land a hit on him. Even though Sukuna did not specifically name Megumi, it is obvious that he is the only human that he wouldn't want to kill, meaning he has a plan that Megumi may be in the center or at least a big piece of. With all of this built up between these 2 major characters, where could Akutami be going? How will these 2 connect and continue to progress the world of Jujutsu Kaisen? Well, to put it simply, I believe Sukuna will try to use Megumi to revive his original body or use Megumi's ability to create one. This is where the theorizing goes to the maximum output, and multiple subtle facts and key points given by Akutami must be taken into account. As previously discussed, Sukuna has already shown proof that he has had at some point the ability to control spirits. This comes as no surprise due to one of his epithets being the King of Curses. What is fascinating about this, and almost like a tease by Akutami, is that we get to see a glimpse of Sukuna using a domain expansion in chapter 10 called Malevolent Shrine, in official Viz English translation, but when looking at the original Japanese text, some translate it to Demonic Featory. What should be focused on is not just the ability but the name of that territory itself, because Sukuna does a form of slicing ability after, but is later shown that Sukuna possesses more than one technique. Focusing back on the name of Sukuna's expansion, a Featory is an ornate, often portable bier for the relics of a saint, or in other words a shrine to keep relics for saints. So no matter how you translate it, both names correlate to a shrine used for evil spirits or curses. It is highly possible that Sukuna has an ability to copy or store other abilities like relics, and his expansion is a manifestation of that. The spirits that Sukuna had cut and scattered could be a part of the arsenal of spirits he was taking abilities from. Aside from the spirits being connected to him, the biggest piece to this theory is Sukuna's fingers, one of the biggest focuses of Jujutsu Kaisen. Sukuna's fingers are stated by Gojo to be indestructible, even demonstrating this by blasting a hole in the wall trying to destroy it. But the fingers mystery doesn't stop there. In chapter 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen, we get Yuji eating a Sukuna finger and becoming possessed for a moment, and in these crucial seconds we get a monologue from Sukuna that is commonly overlooked by fans. Sukuna yells out, "I knew it, light is best appreciated in the flesh. A cursed spirit's flesh is no fun." These lines are crucial to the theory because it confirms that Sukuna's fingers being eaten by curses has a different effect to Yuji's current situation. Yuji being a 1 in a million potential vessel was a breaking point for Sukuna to once again feel human flesh, but we know he doesn't want to stay in Yuji's body permanently. Why not? The obvious reasoning being because Yuji can control the possession and can become stronger as he absorbs more fingers, and if he dies, the fingers within him would die as well. Unlike with curses, the fingers would just appear where the curse once was showing. They cannot be destroyed by normal means. This means Sukuna is actually trapped within Yuji. Even after eating 10 fingers at once, it was stated that Sukuna would have control, albeit temporarily, which could just be adding to his imprisonment. It would only make sense that Sukuna would want to find his own body, one that can control without binding vows, or originally owned by a teenage boy. But what body could he use? His own. As wild as it sounds, it is confirmed possible that since Sukuna's fingers cannot be destroyed, then his body must be around as well. Evidence of this comes from chapter 3, where Gojo gives minor lore on Sukuna, stating he was once a human during the golden age of Jujutsu, that Jujutsu sorcerers fought against him but were defeated. If this is the case, then how did Sukuna die, and when did he get his fingers separated from his body? That is an unanswerable question, but is also stated by Gojo that the sorcerers could couldn't even destroy his remains that were preserved in his own grave wax. That description given 3 chapters in is the most crucial evidence that Sukuna's body may still be recoverable after he becomes one with all his fingers. Another thing that adds to this, that the grave wax is created from a decomposing body created from saturated fatty acids. In other words, it happens after fungi and other poisons begin to decompose the body, but the fatty acids conjugate to form a wax-like substance. What if Sukuna's body is reacting to these poisons in a way that preserves his powers and life essence? Sukuna's second epithet is the King of Poisons, stated during Origin of Obedience when Yuji and Obara were fighting 2 of the 3 cursed wombs. This is the same reasoning given for Yuji's immunity to Junpei's poisonous jellyfish. It seems likely that Sukuna's original form reached a level of omnipotence that allowed him to live for ages and maybe eventually be revived. Sukuna seems to have his own plans and interests for Megumi, and I believe it is heavily involved with reviving Sukuna's body through shadow manipulation or help to revive his past controlled spirits, or both, with Sukuna able to copy abilities but also have huge interest in Megumi on a personal level, even once commenting "good, that's good" after seeing Megumi used Chimera Shadow Garden. I think there is more to Megumi's ability and his potential has yet to be fully revealed to him. Sukuna being a veteran sorcerer and also having some sort of copy technique or talent not only worries me for the characters but also excites me for the plot progression. With a new ally arriving to help Sukuna, it feels as if this connection will be soon fleshed out, but also could see a major increase in strength and capability by Megumi. This is a theory that has a very small and large concrete information with heavy speculation around it, but it is one that seems highly plausible. Why is Sukuna's body indestructible? Where is his body? Why is he only interested in Megumi? And what does he expect to see from him? These are the questions I know that Akutami wants the readers to be asking, and as much speculation that can be done truth, it won't be known until Akutami puts pen to the paper. Now I hope you guys understand why this theory caught my eye so much, especially when it came to the binding vows between Yuji and Sukuna. Maybe it was a leeway for Sukuna to get access to Fushiguro from within Yuji's body. Now this theory can only take effect once Fushiguro undergoes an awakening with his abilities, even though he has displayed Mahoraga. This is definitely not the only trick up his sleeve, being the son of Toji and all, but we know nothing of his biological mother, and if she will play a part in this untapped potential, which could be related to Megumi being the key to Sukuna's revival in the Jujutsu Kaisen series. Well anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this theory on Megumi's connection to Sukuna. Be sure to check out the original theory in the description below if you guys would like to get a better depth of it. Could Megumi be the key to Sukuna's revival, or is there more to why Sukuna is so obsessed with Fushiguro? Maybe he is a god. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, like this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.